Welcome to the block party. ReQlogic is no longer just requisitions. And how does this not fall within a summer theme? I don't know if I could come up with a better one. So our block party consists of a couple different things that I'd like to talk to you about today. First, I want to talk about who ReQlogic is. So ReQlogic has been around for well over 30 years. We have added logic blocks within 2025 that I'm going to talk a little bit more in depthly with you. And we have really committed to solving critical workflow processes that drive results for your organization. So what are logic blocks and what is this block party all about? So with ReQlogic, we even have created logic blocks. And what these logic blocks are just more modules that can be used within the ReQlogic community. So first, of course, we have ReQlogic. We have also introduced Project Logic, Doc Logic, and soon to come will be Flow Logic. And as you can see on our roadmap, we've got quite a few more logic blocks that we will be releasing, which is super exciting to add to our block party and all of the features that are available within ReQlogic. So let's start with our first logic block, which is ReQlogic, and that's our procurement management solution. You can have that on-prem for GP, of course, cloud with BC. As another logic block is Doc Logic. It's document management built for procurement. It's very, very flexible. You can use it with ReQlogic with GP for on-prem. You could use it for ReQlogic with BC, the cloud. Or you could just use it direct to BC, which would be cloud. Another new logic block that we've introduced is Project Logic. And this is direct to BC, so it's built within, it's an extension within BC. And soon to come will again be our Flow Logic. So breaking this down, what is ReQlogic? ReQlogic is a powerful, easy to use requisition solution. Some of our key capabilities are the requisition creation, approvals, and of course, one main thing that's super important is that we offer PunchOut. So sometimes you have customers that have their employees going off the grid, shopping websites and then trying to manually re-enter that information. It's very inefficient. And what we offer is what's called PunchOut. It's fully integrated with ReQlogic and BC, so it keeps your procurement entirely on system. So the user can punch out to the vendor's website, choose what they'd like, and then that line item is automatically created on their requisition. So many benefits to ReQlogic, budget control, being able to just really increase efficiency, and then, of course, better decision making. So some of the value propositions, as you can see, very easy, being able to have a very robust workflow engine, unlimited levels of approval, unlimited approval paths. Again, speaking about PunchOut, we work with Microsoft Dynamics BC. If you have a customer that's currently using ReQlogic on GP, we do have the ability to bring over those legacy historical transactions that are able to be viewed within ReQlogic for BC. As we move to another logic block, we can talk about Project Logic. And this is a tool that's built inside Business Central to really fill some of the gaps that a project within BC is missing. So the three pillars that we have are percentage of completion billing, project location shipping, and AR retainage. When you look at this, where it really helps is where Business Central falls short. So they aren't able to actually manage multiple job shipping addresses. There's no ability to track that retainage outside of the system. Complex percentage complete billing processes are handled within Project Logic. And then we can really help with that manual revenue recognition of adjustments. So again, this is within BC. It's an extension within BC. You do not need to be using ReQlogic to be able to utilize Project Logic. Another one of our logic blocks is called Doc Logic, and it's an intelligent document processing. So it's AI powered that allows you to extract information off of an invoice and bring that into either ReQlogic or you can bring it directly into BC. So it's very easy, higher accuracy, of course, with your users, really cutting down some of that manual time of entering that information. And of course, then, as I mentioned, it can flow into ReQlogic or it can flow directly into BC. So as we look at the different logic blocks that I've talked about today, if you're wondering what the pricing is, we have ReQlogic at $35 per user per company, which includes hosting. Implementation would be in addition. DocLogic, which is the document management AI-powered intelligent document processing. You look at the number of invoices processed, and then of course there's a monthly charge for that, and implementation would be in addition. And then lastly is our project logic. Again, this does not have to be with ReQlogic. It is something that you can purchase one module, two modules, or three modules. And again, it's built right within BC. So next, I'm going to take us through a quick demo of ReQlogic. Of course, if you'd like to see a demo of any of the other logic blocks, would be more than happy to show you that. This is the screen or the dashboard for a user that's logging into ReQlogic. ReQlogic is very configurable. So depending upon who you are and what you do, your dashboard could be completely different than someone else. When this user logs in, they're an entry-level requisitioner. So in other words, they need to request something. And for today, we're going to request something in regards to some office supplies. But before I do that, I want to talk about a few more things on this specific screen. The recent transactions will show the last 13 transactions for a user. It'll show the status of its routing, if a purchase order has been created, if it's been approved. So a very quick view for the user to see where things are within their queue. If they'd like any more information, they click on this hyperlink and then take them directly into that actual specific document. The users also have the ability to look at things across on their different tabs. The legacy transaction tab is being the information that's being brought from ReQlogic from on-premise, and they are able to then see the legacy transactions. They also have the ability to other tabs for other modules where they could click on that, see the different options within that module, many different reports as well. Or the user could click on a shortcut that's been set up at the ribbon. If I click on the ribbon for the requisition entry, this takes me into my requisition entry screen. Depending upon who you are, you could have a completely different requisition entry screen than someone else, because you can make fields hidden, required, read only, or even to default in values. So to create a brand new requisition, I'm going to click on the plus sign up in the upper right-hand corner. There's two parts to a requisition entry screen. The top is the header information. And this is just basically saying, what is this requisition for? What is it? What is needed? And I'm going to say new hire supplies for North Office. Now, one requisition can create multiple purchase orders, so I don't have to choose a vendor at this level. Any fields that are required, whether that's system required or has set up as user required, would be denoted by that red line in front of the actual field. Again, fields can be made read-only, default in values, set to be required, or you will also have system required fields. For this user, this is all I need to create that requisition header, so I'm going to go ahead and choose to save. Now I have the ability to add lines on to the requisition entry form. And to do that, I'm going to click on this plus button. This is going to allow me to add individual lines. As I mentioned, each requisition could actually create multiple purchase orders. So each line is actually independent of itself. There are many different ways to add line items, and I'm going to go through a few today. The first is I'm going to take a look at an item that's coming from BC. I'm going to click on my zoom or looking glass, and this will pull up all the items that are in BC or within the internal catalog within ReQlogic. As your users may have access to quite a few, they could set up some as their favorites and then quickly run a filter on the favorites of the items that they use more often. The first item I'm going to choose is coming from inventory, and I'm going to add that on my line item. I can see it defaulted in the vendor, it defaulted in the purchase type. Some of these fields you may want hidden. Maybe somebody that's entering a requisition doesn't even know what the GLL count is. So that absolutely can be hidden and filled in throughout the approval process. I'm just going to say I need one of these desks. And at this time, I've got everything filled out for that specific line. I'm going to save it. and then continue to add line items different ways. The next way is just to pull an item out of the internal catalog that's been set up within ReQlogic. So again, I'm going to click on that zoom or looking glass underneath the item ID. I'm going to filter on my favorites. And now I can see there's another favorite there, and the catalog is Rex, and that's coming from our internal catalog that I've set up within ReQlogic. I'm choosing the business cards, and when I do that, you can see the vendor did not default in. If I know the vendor and I've been given access to choose it, I surely could. So I could browse out, look at all the vendors that are coming from within BC, grab whatever vendor I'd like, and add that to that requisition entry form. I could leave it blank as well, and it could be added throughout the approval process. Really just depends upon what your process is or what the customer would like. So I've added that actual number or the quantity, and I'll save that line item. The next way we're going to enter a line onto the requisition entry form is through what's called PunchOut. Now, I mentioned this earlier as this is really kind of taken off. We have had PunchOut for many, many years, but PunchOut is so nice because your users are then punching out to a website of that vendor. Now, we didn't create PunchOut, but we connect to vendors that offer it. And the user can just click on the little shopping cart, which will then take them out to the PunchOut vendors that they are set up for. Now, we again can connect to vendors that offer PunchOut, and what it does is it allows them to look at the vendor's website of the pricing and the products that you have set up with that actual vendor. So for today, I'm just going to go out. We're going to find a quick laptop. I'm going to grab this laptop and add it onto my requisition entry form. To do that, all I have to do is view my cart and check out. Now, when I do that, it's pulling all that information from the website directly onto my requisition entry form. Now, this does not complete that order yet with that vendor, and that will not be completed until the purchase order is sent after it's been approved and we can finish the actual requisition approval process. So there we can see that line has been brought in via PunchOut. The next way I'm going to add a line is simply type something in, because maybe the end user only knows what they want. They don't know where they're going to get it. They don't have any other idea. I'm just going to say, I know I need labor to put desk together. I may not know the vendor, or maybe I do. We'll leave that blank today. I do need to fill in the purchase type. And then I'm going to guess it's going to take, oh gosh, maybe we'll say 2 hours. And once I put that quantity in, then I'm able to actually choose the unit. And that unit is also coming from BC, just like the GL account, just like any of that information. BC is our system of record. So your vendors, your GL accounts, the dimensions, that's all coming from within BC. I'm going to add that actual hour or that unit, and then we'll go ahead and save it. As I mentioned, there's quite a few different bells and whistles that can be added to the lines within ReQlogic. We're going to touch on them quickly. I could add an attachment at the line level. I could add attachment at the header level. I could add general notes, notes to the vendor, notes to the buyer at the header level, or I could also do that at the independent line level. So at this time, I've got this requisition completed. My next step would be to submit this for approval. Before I do that, I want to talk about our status log. Auditors love this, but they can see everything that's happened to this requisition from the creation all the way through to if anything has changed. We also have the routing tab that the user can see where it's going to get routed to next. Keep in mind that the routing is set up in the background, so the user doesn't get to choose who they want it sent to. That is all set up in the background. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and click on Submit, and we're going to talk about some of the workflow. So once I submit this for approval, we have unlimited levels of approval and unlimited approval paths, meaning I can ensure absolutely everything is fully approved on this requisition before a purchase order is created. So some examples of that, maybe line 1, I'd like to route that for approval based on hierarchy. And maybe line 2, that's going to route for approval based on that GL account. And maybe line 3, that's going to be route for approval based on the dollar amount. So very robust workflow and approvals, and to make sure everything is fully approved. So right now, we're going to go ahead and log out, because I, as a requisitioner, I've set my requisition in. I've asked for what I wanted. I can go about my daily business. We're going to log in as an approver so you can quickly see what they see. I'm going to log in as that next approver in line. And when we log in, this user has been set up differently, and you'll see that their dashboard looks different. Because they're an approver, they've been set to have their dashboard show their approval queue. So right away, I can see there's my new hire supplies for the North office that was created today. I can click on this hyperlink and it's going to automatically take me into that requisition where I, as the approver, can choose to approve or disapprove. By default, my settings today, each line has been set up for approve, and I can see that with the little box on each side. I could go into every single line if I'd like, maybe edit it, change it, add information. Maybe I need to add a GL account to this. Maybe I should add the vendor and such. And at this point, the approver could have different fields required than that requisitioner, again, depending upon who you are and what you do. You also have the approval as an approver to maybe I need to send it to somebody. I can delegate it to get more information or send a question to. If I change anything, I can always add my review or comments so that this is followed through the requisition so people can always see what has happened and what's changed. For today, I'm just going to say the review is complete. It's going to ask you, are you sure? And if so, now it's going to send us on to the next level of approval. Again, unlimited levels of approval, unlimited approval paths. We can also have emails sent out at any time, letting people know that there's a requisition in their queue for approval. And then lastly, what I'm going to do very quickly is just log in as that last person. So in other words, your final reviewer. Typically, it's the buyer within the organization. And when they log in, they have the ability to have a different configuration as well. This user is the person that's going to ultimately decide if that requisition is going to become a purchase order. So I have a buyer review and selection as one of my shortcuts. And when I click on that, it's going to bring me up to a filter screen where I can choose what it is that I'd like to see, or simply just apply the filter and say, hey, I want to see everything that's in my queue. So we can see that there's a couple different requisitions out there. I can choose to reject it right away if I'd like. I could go into it. I can click the down arrow and I say, well, I want to select that for a PO. Well, for this situation, I can't because that item ID needs to be added. So let's go ahead and open that one up. And we're going to add an item ID real quick. We're just going to grab something out of here so you can easily see it pull through. We're just going to grab a quick ID. I'll save that. And now I am able to see that that line is ready to be selected for PO. Once I choose to select it for PO, I can choose to create purchase orders. And when I do that, it's going to ask me, are you really sure? I say I do. And once that's done, it's going to go ahead and create a purchase order over in BC. And then the next steps that can be done within ReQlogic, we can do receive and invoice matching. We could also use our product called ReQlogic, which allow you to bring in the invoices, whether dropped into a hot folder or into a generic email AP invoice email account. ReQlogic learns the invoice, matches it then to the purchase order, and then the transaction is completed within BC. We also have, remember, Project Logic, which is a fantastic product that you have the ability to do all the different things within BC for project. So that concludes our demo, and I would love for you all to follow up with me. Let's get your demo scheduled today. Please feel free to reach out to me. You can give me a call at 701-840-7079 or drop me an email at beth.h@reclogic.com. Thank you everyone for today, and I look forward to meeting you in a follow-up. Thank you.